We got to get right into it because, surprisingly, the biggest headline to come out of round one was the person who was not taken in round one. And the fact that Will Levis, the quarterback from Kentucky, sat in the green room last night, and in the vein of Aaron Rodgers and Lamar Jackson and Johnny Manziel and Brady Quinn and these guys who just sat and sat and sat. Now, the difference is eventually those guys did get taken in the first round. Now Will Levis goes down in history with the likes of Geno Smith, guys who thought they were going to be first rounders, were ready to go, and unfortunately got embarrassed last night.
Well, I mean, but look at what Geno did last year. So maybe it'll all work out 9 years later for Will Levis.
It just takes a decade, that's all.
I mean, obviously it worked out for Aaron Rodgers. Isn't it funny? Last night, all of a sudden, we're reading reports about Levis's injury, his toe injury.
The turf toe, yeah.
Hello. That would have been very helpful 2 weeks ago, Maggie.
I think we had an idea that there was always whispers that he had been a bit injured this year, but we couldn't tell if maybe that was an excuse or what.
But you saw him at the Combine. Did that quarterback look injured to you? It was gorgeous.
Good point.
Him and Anthony Richardson looked, if you just watch a Combine throwing, you would think, oh, my God, those guys are super studs.
Yep.
And he looked healthy to me. And then there was also the report that he wasn't a great interview.
Yeah, that's a little after the fact, like that, maybe was I think arrogant might be too strong of a word, but maybe didn't impress that much. But again, this is all the after the fact stuff. Like that there was not a whisper of that.
Did you see the ESPN analytic that had less than 0.1% he didn't go in the first round? That's making the rounds today.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they get that analytic from.
Are there too many people working at the analytics department? Because I don't know how they got to that.
I think it might have been a weird situation where there was so many reports that the Colts like Will Levis.
Yes.
But after that, there was never a team that I saw, oh, we like Will Levis. It comes out little drips and drabs, like the Raiders like Bryce Young and tried to trade up there.
Right.
None of this, it's all reporting, it doesn't mean anything. But it did seem like, oh, if Will Levis doesn't go 4, then there's a lot of unknown. I said the Patriots on yesterday's show, and they were
you were on the draft show, yep.
They were, no, with you.
Oh, with us. Oh,
yeah. I said at 14.
Oh, to me, yeah.
Yeah, I said at 14 because we were talking about this yesterday. What if Levis gets past the Colts? You might not even remember this, but we said, I'm like, well, maybe Titans at 11 and Patriots at 14.
We thought maybe the Commanders, too.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm hanging on every word you say.
The Commanders, though, with the ownership situation, maybe wouldn't want to go to. It just felt like, oh, man, this is a square peg in a round hole after 4. Because, he's rumored to go number 2. Then there was that crazy internet conspiracy that made him number 1. And then when the Colts picked Anthony Richardson, we should have known there was a problem.
There was a problem. Yep, that was, listen, fantastic for the Colts and Anthony Richardson.
Oh, yeah.
This is a perfect match to me. I have no idea if Richardson's going to pan out, but when I say perfect match, you have a new head coach in Shane Steichen who came from your Philadelphia Eagles, just came from a quarterback who's like a running, athletic, Hurts has a really good arm, but running, athletic quarterback, where Anthony Richardson might be the best we ever see as a running, athletic quarterback. And there's really not the pressure. I mean, whatever Jim Irsay says and tweets, but they have to understand Richardson is a project. And actually, Chris Ballard, the general manager, and Emmanuel and EJ, I think we have this sound, was talking about it last night. They know exactly what they're getting into and that he's going to be a project. Can we hear it?
We drafted him for what we think he can really be in the future. He's a very smart young man, good kid. He works. We think it's all in front of him. So we're excited to get him.
That's not a franchise who's saying he's our day one savior. Yeah. We're going to come in. He's going to be like Andrew Luck. He's a finished product. This is a great place for him to be.
Let me just tell you right now, you could throw all that away. Anthony Richardson is going to play this year. I am so convinced of this. And not only that, I don't even care how he does. I mean, Malik Willis was terrible last year, wasn't ready to play for the Titans. Anthony Richardson is going to be the most popular player in this draft. It's
hard not to like the guy.
Bryce Young is efficient and good. C.J. Stroud is pinpoint accurate. Yeah. Will Levis fell. Hendon Hooker had big numbers at Tennessee. Anthony Richardson is lightning. Can you see them not playing him? Gardner Minshew?
I can see a situation where it's one of those things where Minshew starts, and then once they're mathematically eliminated, or something like that, then Richardson gets in maybe the last 4 games of the season, maybe the last 6, and you see what you have.
I say week 3.
Okay.
You have Jonathan Taylor back there you have to pay attention to. Then you bring in Richardson.
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to defend that team? You're going to have to put so many resources up to stop those two guys. And when the quarterback runs, you're already down a man with a blocker. It is definitely enticing. And I agree with you. Shane Steichen is a perfect coach, perfect fit.
Like, I have no idea if Steichen's going to be a good coach, and I have no idea if Richardson's going to be a good quarterback, but on paper, it's a good marriage.
Well, I mean, listen, is there any doubt the Colts got the better Eagles coordinator? Jonathan Cannon's like, pew, 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 pew.
Yeah, guns.
With Arizona, and that team is completely bereft of talent, and he wasn't even that good a defensive coordinator. He just got 38 points put on him in the Super Bowl.
I know, against the Chiefs, and as we're here in Kansas City side of the draft, we're here in the draft experience, every fourth person who walks by us is wearing a Mahomes jersey. We think they're giving them out in the hospital when the kids are born or something.
I don't think that's fair. There's some variety. You see a Karlaftis or a Creed Humphrey or a lot of Kelce's.
Yeah, a lot of Kelce's.
It's not all Mahomes. And there's an occasional Bears fan that wanders by.
Bears is definitely the second most represented franchise here, which was a little surprising. But listen, the Bears, the Bears did a nice job last night too. I guess if you're Arizona, well, let's get to Houston actually, because Houston was one of the first shockers to most people, because where Will Levis had been perceived to be rising up draft boards, C.J. Stroud had been perceived to be falling. And it was this famous S2 test, this cognitive test, processing test, not cognitive, how you process information, that he allegedly just totally bombed. And he bombed it twice. And he said himself, I'm not a test taker, I'm a football player. You got the tape of him playing against Georgia and some other film from Ohio State. That should have been all you needed. And you know what? It was. Because Houston took him too. Now, where things got a little interesting in Perloff, where I think you had a bit of a bone to pick with the Houston Texans, is what they did at 3.
Yeah, I mean, they traded up for Will Anderson, who could be a superstar, but they gave up next year's number 1. Even if C.J. Stroud's good, who is he throwing to, Maggie? And it's a young, developing team. That feels like a top 10 pick, which is huge value. So I worry about it. And also, by the way, I like C.J. Stroud, but number 2 picks have been, that's Bomb City, USA. That's Mitchell Trubisky area. That's Zach Wilson area. Yeah. That's Marcus Mariota area, Saquon Barkley. So there's no guarantee with C.J. Stroud or any of these first-round quarterbacks. What if they stink and they're giving away the number 5 pick next year? That worries me for the Texans.
It was quite a shock. Not when we found out that they traded up to get Will Anderson. That's like, okay, wow, Houston's really come to this draft to leave their stamp on this draft, and you would hope so because they need a lot of work. But when we found out that it was for a future first, and then it's like, okay, well, which first? Their own or Cleveland's in the Deshaun Watson trade? And we found out, oh, it's their own.
Yeah.
That could be a very high pick next year if Houston is a bad team. So that could be a top 5 pick going to Arizona. Meanwhile, Cleveland could make the playoffs. That's not totally out of the realm of possibility, and that'd be a pick in the 20s.
100%. Something you said yesterday, and I was listening, that the owners sometimes make this pick for the quarterback early on. I was wondering if the number 2 pick was the owner, Cal McNair, and the number 3 pick was DeMeco Ryans, who, of course, had Nick Bosa in San Francisco and is trying to recreate that, or Nick Caserio. It feels like an unsettled team structure because there were reports that Nick Caserio was going to leave. I just think DeMeco Ryans is 38, I believe, and he had a lot of offers, so I think they're going to give him a long runway. But this is a risk. I feel like because they gave away number 1 next year, they're on a tightrope, where if they fall off, it's going to look bad. And Will Anderson has this pressure to be great now. Because they traded up a lot to him. He's got to be a Pro Bowler soon. He's got to be really, really good.
We have so much more to get to in terms of the first round of the NFL draft, but just because we're on location here in Kansas City doesn't mean you can't be part of the show. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Kind of set the stage a little bit for today. Later in the show, Peter King is going to join us. We'll get his thoughts on the first round. Also, former general manager Thomas Dimitroff will join us later on in the show, sort of get the insider's view, what stood out to him. And his former team that he ran for basically a decade with the Atlanta Falcons. Bijan Robinson at number 8.
Strange pick, but cannot wait to see him play.
Okay.
We have to, I think we should save the Bijan and the Jahmyr Gibbs, the Alabama running back conversation.
Yeah, we should. Here's one thing. I'm going to allow this because, I mean, listen, it's both of our shows. Both of our names are on the show.
Right.
And I'm going to do this because I feel like you're holding back. The Eagles knocked it out of the park yesterday. Yeah. The Eagles knocked it out of the park. I mean, I'm going to give you, and you're a diehard Eagles fan, they really were one of the stories and a clear, on-paper winner from last night. You have built a complete replica of the Georgia defense, just better. You've got Jalen Carter, you got Nolan Smith to go along with already the fantastic defense that you have. I mean, just congrats, dude.
Okay. When does the team that wins the draft on paper actually win the draft? Has that ever happened in the history of the NFL draft? No, of course it hasn't.
Well, but, I mean, listen, we make fun of the Eagles for some of their Jalen Reagor picks, but they did get a franchise quarterback, Jalen Hurts, in the second round. They know what they're doing.
Well, Howie Roseman, the GM, is on a heater. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But let me just present a general draft philosophy that applies to the Eagles. When we have these mock drafts and a guy falls in the mock draft, we all assume that team got an A for their draft. That is a common mistake. It never works out that way. And then when a team, let's take Detroit, takes a guy who was on nobody's first two-round mock drafts, that guy usually ends up being okay. I'm telling you, I think we play this game where Nolan Smith fell to 30, so we assume because people thought the Eagles might take him at 10 that was a huge victory. It just doesn't work out that way in reality.
Well, I think it might be that reality for you this time. I think you can allow yourself to like this one. I
do like it. I like it, but I do think you're playing the odds because you don't not know if. Yes, the Georgia defense is tricky because there's so many good players there. They don't play that many snaps, so you don't get a true evaluation of them.
That's kind of like the Eagles defense. You guys rotate dudes in. That's how you won the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and it's another thing you did last year against the Chiefs.
Jordan Davis was not great last year. He had a high ankle sprain, but I'll tell you, he played 10 snaps in the Super Bowl. He was not what they expected.
Okay,
he was not what year one.
That doesn't mean you're a bust.
But everyone thought he was last year's sure thing. The Eagles were the big winner by getting him last year because he was so physically imposing.
Yeah.
And he was so great in the Final Four, and he didn't do anything. That's all I'm saying, Maggie. And by the way, can we go vice versa? Can I play your role for a second? I loved the Dalton Kincaid pick, and so did lots of people. And you were like, after the draft, it was like you were at a funeral.
No, I'm depressed. I am
How can
depressed.
You be depressed?
I'm sports depressed today.
He might be one of the top 10 players in this draft.
Okay.
Easily.
Well, all well and good. But we had to go to one of the barbecue joints this morning. We've already put down like pounds of barbecue because I'm eating my feelings today.
Oh,
because I am not happy with what the Bills did in this draft. First of all, the Bills act like they have no needs. Right. They act like these are all luxury picks.
Okay.
You know, Dalton Kincaid, to me, you're picking a tight end 2. You trade up, by the way, for a tight end 2 when you just paid your tight end 1 $30 million guaranteed, and you don't even use him probably in the way that you could. So you want another weapon for Josh Allen. You act like Aaron Rodgers didn't just enter the division. You're acting like the AFC doesn't have every great quarterback of this generation playing in one conference. How about a corner to play opposite Tre'Davious White? How about another pass rusher in case Von Miller can't finish the season again? There were guys on the board. Their safeties are old. They just lost a linebacker, and Tremaine Edmonds signed with the Chicago Bears. The Bills act like they don't have needs when they do, and it's clearly on the defensive side.
Two things. What, are they going to draft another defensive end who's going to do nothing?
Yes.
Like the 8th one in a row?
They don't do nothing. Hopefully they don't do nothing.
It's not like they haven't drafted defense. Second of all, it's 3rd and 8 in the third quarter of a game.
Josh Allen's running anyway.
No. He could use it. Who are you going to throw to? You triple team Stephon Diggs. He needs a target. There's no 3rd and 8 option except for Josh Allen to run because they just bracket Diggs. So this is what that is all about. And you saw it last year. Every key game, 3rd and 8. Josh Allen runs or they punt.
When we're back here, hopefully, sports gods willing, when the Bills are back here playing at Arrowhead, most likely.
Oh, okay. You've already
AFC Championship game of the divisional round.
Advantage.
Yeah, I've already given that up. When the Bills are on the road in the playoffs, and when Mahomes and Kelsey yet again, and Andy Reid's offense put up another 37 points on the board, we're going to look back at this draft and wonder, maybe they should have been looking defense, as they always should be doing. The offense is not broken. The defense needs fixing.
Oh, and I'm sure the cornerback they got in the 20s was really going to stop Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, he's got a better shot than Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid played on the defense.
No, he has a huge advantage.
Also, coming off a back injury, which is not nothing.
I'll tell you, the Eagles have a great defense. There's only one way to stop Patrick Mahomes, and that is to not let the ball get into his hands. That means you've got to have somebody who can get a first down. And Dalton Kincaid, I think you're going to look back on Dalton Kincaid. You're going to love this dude. He's going to be really good.
Well, I hope so. Listen, full disclosure, I didn't love the Josh Allen pick when they took him, and that one turned out to be pretty good, so I know I've been wrong before.
You know about the Dalton Kincaid buzz, though, even coming into this draft.
I watched the USC game against Utah.
I love Dalton Kincaid. He was just a little bit injured.
Yeah, his back. That's always awesome for a football player.
Yeah. No way would he have been at that pick if he wasn't injured. And they had to jump the Cowboys, who are crying in their beers right now because they couldn't get him.
By the way, Cowboys War Room. Could that look any more sinister? Oh, you weren't watching because you were doing the show. Oh,
I heard Jerry cursed in his post-game press conference.
Yeah,
so what was going on in Dallas?
Jerry wasn't happy. Wait, Stu, you were watching? No, Stu's busy working. Stu's back, by the way. The Black Hole returned him, so thank you, Raider fans, for returning our producer.
Changed.
He's not the same. He's seen things now.
No, there's an edge there that was never there.
I know. It's a little bit of a darkness. Anyway, the Cowboys War Room might be the exact replica of Darth Vader's lair.
I gotta look at this. That's amazing.
It's perfect. You guys know I'm not even a Star Wars person, and even I got the reference. I'm like, this is where are the stormtroopers? That's just Steven.
So describe it. It was dark and menacing.
Yeah, dark and menacing with sort of these bluish sort of colors. Everyone was in dark suits. And they were sitting in tiers, all facing forward. It was interesting.
I find it interesting that Jerry Jones is the most out there owner. He's a bit outrageous. He makes the safest picks of anybody in the entire draft. That guy will go offensive line, defensive
tackle.
line.
How about that?
Yeah. I mean, he took Micah Parsons, was actually an interior linebacker at the time he took him. He takes the most boring draft picks, which is kind of cool.
Well, it's been a big part of their success so far,
They might be smart.
I think they are smart. I just, they haven't gotten over the hump to get back to the NFC Championship game of the Super Bowl since the 90s, but they draft really well.
Well, I think you broke their hearts last night by trading up to get Kincaid.
Well, the Bills broke my heart because I wanted a little
revenge for the Super Bowl.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, it's the Cowboys. Aha.
But to be the evil empire, you have to actually win Super Bowls in the last 35 years.
Ouch.
That's just a fact. No, 25 years, not 30.
YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where you can go if you want to watch us here from Kansas City in the draft experience. The chat's up and running. The Weedos and the Purple Drinkers are all in today. RPC says, Maggie sounds like a Texans fan, except her team kicks ass every season. Yes, I realize that. They did go 13-3 on complaining about their first round.
Yeah, the Texans dominated, and the Bills made a mistake at the end of the first round. Come on.
Just wait. I'm gonna get the last laugh here. Barbara thinks Jerry Jones is close to giving up. Dak is close to giving up on Dak. I don't know if I see that, but
I think they're going to extend him for salary cap reasons.
Maggie,
I think he's there a long time.
Maggie's Purple Drink Chalice, love it. Darth Jerry.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It fits.
Yeah, I feel like he needs to have a little more success. Remember, the Yankees were the evil empire; they were winning World Series.
Yeah.
Is there a divisional round level of the evil empire? The somewhat evil empire?
Yes, it's an evil empire or work in progress.
Evil empire as long as they avoid the 49ers in the postseason.
Yes.